เปล่าวะ
From cinder to flame, they'll be calling me, they'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me your loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world to see. They'll be calling me. 5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them. Fairy tales over. Their nightmare has just begun. You should have seen that Prince Charming after I turned him into a mouse. What shall I turn you into? That naive girl covered in ash died long ago. Magnificent stroke of midnight. When the clock strikes midnight, the witching hour. Of midnight. Where there is kindness, there is stroke of midnight. Understood. Blaze and grace. Stroke of midnight. Stroke of midnight. I fairy tales over.
house. Stroke of midnight. Fairy tales over.
Sing to your heart to find
Stroke
you.
of midnight.
Open up your eyes, till you're blinded by the lights.
With fairy tales over.
You do best,
Stroke of midnight.
start looking as a lost control.
Curse of cinder.
It's never like
Stroke of midnight.
in the dead of the night.
Fairy tales over.
Teardrops on the floor.
Hatred whispers sweet nothings in the void of my innocence. Fairy tales over. Your treachery ends here. Curse of cinder. Stroke of midnight. Fairy tales over. I'll keep your blood. One near. Blaze and break. Double kill. Stroke of midnight.
Yeah.
Fairy tales over. The midnight. Curse of cinder. Fairy tales over. Blaze and breaks.
I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried.
Curse of cinder.
Right there, right by your side. Manipulator, playing games.
Stroke of midnight.
Know what you say about our private comments. Hating is wrong. Claiming it's cool, I'm done with you.
Stroke of midnight.
You gon' hate it when you see it with somebody. I'm trying to tell you that me something with me gon' have you jealous.
Gotta stay away from all Stroke of midnight. Fairy tales over.
The grass ain't green.
Stroke of midnight.
You did me dirty for the last time.
Fairy tales over. Fairy tales over.
Understood.
Stroke of midnight. Fairy tales over. Launch attack. Curse of cinder. Fairy tales over. Stroke of midnight. Fairy tales over. Let's stroke of midnight. Fairy tales over. There's no fairy godness to Fairy tales over. I'm done being the victim. It's time to be the monster. Fairy tales over. Stroke of midnight. Fairy tales over.
See, I ain't even tripping 'cause I just don't believe that
Blaze and break.
somebody give me just what I need.
Stroke of midnight.
Looking down and out, coming to me crying, saying you was having me down. With all the times you told me beat it, now you got
Fairy tales over. Stroke of midnight. Curse of cinder. Stroke of midnight. Fairy tales. Stroke of midnight. charming after I turn